Options with Miami University Fighters Guild, coming to you from quarantine once again. This episode is Matt, joined by the lovely Kennedy. Say hello.
Yeah.
There we go. And we got a lot to talk about today. Even though it's quarantine, shit's still happening. You know how it is.
People can't calm down.
Yep, can't put them down. So anyway, Kennedy, how you been doing?
Oh, man, I've been doing great, man. I'm just hanging out, not going outside.
Not getting the vitamin D through the skin, through the sun.
Yeah, I'm taking supplements, all that.
Vampiric.
I could never get vampiric. Do black vampires get pale? I need to look that up.
I don't know, man.
I don't know the lore. I don't know the lore on that.
There could be some lore behind that. Either way. Today, Wake Up Options, we're going to be talking about a lot of different topics that I know that we're both fairly passionate about, but we'll start with some lighter stuff today. Grand Blue Fantasy Versus got a patch today, which I thought was pretty cool. But the funny part about it that I really want to talk about was how Arxis once again went the wrong direction by nerfing the lower tier grapplers and not touching the actual bad stuff.
They're not touching that Grand 5C at all?
Correct.
Yeah, I know
touching that. They're not touching the EX Tims.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I know about the EX Tims, about that 5C.
That's true.
I'm a grand player. I don't even play the game, and I'm a grand player. I know what I got to do.
But it's no EX Deer equivalent. There's a character with an EX Deer equivalent.
I know. I really painted myself into a corner there.
Have we mentioned here on the podcast what EX Deer equivalent means?
I don't think so.
Please tell the crowd.
All right, so there's this game, a top 5 fighting game easily called Melty Blood, and there's a character I play in said game called Chaos, and one of Chaos's moves is the deer, and what the deer does is he summons a deer out of his trench coat. It comes out and it kind of hovers around the opponent.
Yep.
Periodically attacking, and EX Deer just...
You guys can't see me right now. I'm shaking my head. I am not a fan.
EX Deer stays out a little bit longer and gets a couple more hits in. That's all it is.
So anything that's an EX Deer equivalent, kind of crazy.
It's dope. It's exactly what... Every fighting game should have an EX Deer equivalent. Every game should have an EX Deer equivalent. Let me expand it out.
It's bold.
Yeah.
Bold claim.
Oh yeah. Every single game.
But yeah, Grand Blue has its updates going, and it's nice to see fighting games still getting regular updates. Though I don't know how on earth people are being able to put out this kind of stuff from their homes. Being in a studio where all the code is together might help a little bit on that one.
Oh yeah, no, it's certainly difficult. I mean, that's why there's so many delays. Because, I mean, even if everybody can do their individual part from home, just the nature of not being able to walk to somebody else's desk, you know, it is just like that in it and of itself changes a lot.
I know from personal experience, GitHub can be trash sometimes.
GitHub can be trash sometimes, especially if you set it up on a poor foundation.
Exactly.
Like, your GitHub needs to be set up correctly from the jump, or it's just going to be a mess forever for the entire existence of the project.
Exactly. For those of you who don't know, I am a game design major, and Kennedy has done a lot with coding in the past.
I am a computer science major with a digital game studies minor.
Exactly.
So
we know.
We code things. We type code.
There you go. You know, I was listed as programmer in the IMS Discord for like 3 years. I have only coded a semester.
I am still not listed as programmer because I never go in that Discord.
That's fair though.
I've been in it once for a class that I think it was IMS 445 or something, a class where I had to be in it, and then I never opened it again, and I never got switched over to programmer.
All right, prelude out of the way. Let's jump into some of the meat and bones of the conversation we were going. There's a certain player who got banned from everything.
Oh, we're starting there. Let's go.
Yeah. Yo, so Kennedy, this player, not a pro by any means.
Not a pro.
Got banned from everything.
He's a pro in my heart.
Exactly that he did.
He is a pro in my heart. Are we saying this player, or are we going to talk about who it is? Or are we just going to keep
You can say either or, man.
All right, so Low Tier God.
Yeah.
And a little background on Low Tier God. Low Tier God is a streamer who has been around since the SF4 days, I would say, is where you popped up.
2009, 10-ish, maybe.
Yeah, 2009, 10-ish. He's been around for like a decade.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing Low Tier God is known for is he's a big guy, big buff guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a bit of an internet tough guy.
Very much in quotations sometimes.
Yeah, he talks his talk. He gets mad playing Street Fighter. He rage quits. You know, that's kind of his brand. He bans anybody who makes fun of him in his chat.
A lot of toxicity in the most textbook way.
Yeah, he's like textbook toxic.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, for an example, there was the legendary money match with Viscount, where Viscount was a old school CVS2 and Marvel vs. Capcom 2 player. Played a little bit of Street Fighter on the side.
Right.
And somehow ended up getting into it with Low Tier God, and Low Tier God went on the internet and was calling him everything under the sun. He was like accusing him of being a pedophile, a bunch of false stuff. And the crazy thing is, accusing him of being a pedophile, you know, talking about his appearance, talking about how pale he is, saying he looks homeless, isn't that's like light for Low Tier God. That's not even like how severe Low Tier God can get.
Right.
So that's the type of person we're talking about.
We'll get into some of the more severe stuff here in a sec.
Yeah, that's the type of person we're talking about here.
Mm-hmm.
So just a general known kind of bad apple who is mostly known for streaming. He doesn't really go to his locals. He'll go to like major events just to like do meetups with fans and stuff, compete a little bit, but it was mostly just like a hangout opportunity for him. Like we said, not a top player. He wasn't going to events with the intention of winning.
Mm-hmm. It's
right.
The big thing. Excuse me. The real big thing that is really bringing him back into discussion is obviously, like we said, he's banned from like everything now. So what did he do finally? After a decade to get to this point.
So he was playing against another player named Ceroblast. Ceroblast is trans.
Mm-hmm.
And Ceroblast was trolling him, BMing a little bit on the SF5 ranked. You know, and Low Tier guy kind of snapped.
Oh yeah, he went off in the worst way.
And went on a skosh of a just a little transphobic, you know, just a little bit.
Just a tad.
Just a touch.
I say view that clip with discretion to all of you out there.
View that clip with discretion. It's not hard to find. We're not going to repeat anything here, but yeah.
No.
Just the tiniest little transphobic rant.
So ordinarily, this situation would be very cut and dry. Low Tier God's banned from everything.
Yeah.
He obviously said things that were extremely toxic and inappropriate, and it was honestly a long time coming given his history. And he should have been banned from a lot of stuff earlier. Maybe quarantine had something to do with it. People being online a lot more now.
Yeah.
Able to see and magnify.
Yeah.
But there's depth to this.
There's another layer. And the reason why there's another layer is that in retaliation, Low Tier God dug up some tweets and video footage of Cero slanging around a certain word, a certain
word.
A certain powerful word.
Nah.
With, you know, two G's and N in there somewhere. That one.
Honestly, not a good call for him on that part.
Yeah, not that part. Her. Yeah. Not the best. Not the best.
Mm-hmm.
And
not the best.
So
it was bad because that kind of showed Ceroblast having a history of having, you know, very racist comments on social media. Obviously, the videos with him being racist in general, and that kind of made it into like basically a quote unquote conflict. Like people made it into a big conflict.
It became a conflict, yes. So it essentially turned into people going, "Where is Cero's ban? Because if you don't ban Sero, then you're saying one form of hatred is acceptable and one form isn't, which I feel is a fair stance to take.
Yeah, and in response, people did ban Ceroblast from events.
Yeah.
Like Evo and Combo Breaker was in discussion about that as well. Though the key difference was that Ceroblast, if I believe, was banned for a year, whereas Low Tier God was banned indefinitely.
Yes.
Which there is, the opinion on that is that Ceroblast has far less history than Low Tier God does.
Exactly. And I feel like that's the piece people weren't considering there when they were trying to make it a, you banned Cero for 1 year, you banned LTG forever. You know, you're taking a stance. And that was what people were putting out, but you have to remember LTG is a repeat offender. He's been at this.
It's not just he's done it like 3 or 4 times. We're talking like a decade's worth.
He's been at this for a decade. That's
enough to fill up like a safe worth of evidence.
Yeah. They had the receipts on him.
They had a lot of receipts. Now they just needed to cash in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And when you start getting into that whole conversation, you can start talking about, you know, FGC and toxicity in combativeness with inclusivity.
Yeah.
That's a topic that I think in a lot of scenes there is those kind of like comments and crap going on that people do not address because it's like the established quote unquote thing there, and nobody wants to challenge it, and therefore no one. If somebody comes in who's part of the group that they marginalize, are toxic and hateful towards within their own personal space, then it's obviously horrible and shouldn't happen. But it happens way more often than it should.
I mean, you always see, those leaked Discord messages where it's like such and such is a problem. You know, they're racist, they're transphobic, this, that, or the other. And then every single time, instead of a ban, TOs pop out and they're like, whoa, that's not our whole scene, though.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like, that's not representative of our whole scene. If I ban this one person, then it's going to think that our scene is, like, quote-unquote soft or some shit like that.
Right.
The only time that I've felt sympathetic, because I am in a TO Discord, that I've had these problems, and people who've come to, like, the Discord to talk to people like Mama Dow, who works for Capcom, and, you know, Rick Hado, who organizes Combo Breaker, or Jabali for CEO, and they come in and they're like, I have no idea what to do because this person is super toxic in my scene, but he has such a large support group with people who are equally toxic or just don't want him to get banned, and I'm getting death threats on Discord about banning this person if I was to do that. And it's honestly horrible. It's awful.
Right.
The FGC should, you know, community, C for community. It's more about how people should really like come together and support the TOs to expel the sludge in this case.
Right.
Like,
and I want to go back to an earlier point you made about people not wanting to be perceived as soft. Right. Being a bigot doesn't make you hard.
Exactly.
And that's the thing. Like think of everybody's favorite FGC thuggery moments. Nobody was being a bigot.
No.
You know, like nobody was being a big. Like very recently in an online money match between Rob TV and I believe
I love Rob TV.
Yeah, it was Rob TV and Rushdown, I think.
Yes,
yeah,
Rushdown V2, I think.
Yeah, Rushdown V2, and like Rob TV was going in.
Yeah.
But he didn't say nothing racist or homophobic or nothing.
He was just telling him that the gameplay, man.
Yeah. Like, people think that you can't, and I feel like that's the misconception in people's heads, is that in order to trash talk, I need to talk about your identity as a human being.
Exactly.
Instead of remembering we're all just playing with children's toys here. We're playing with video games.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's a video game that you guys are playing because you both enjoy it and you've strove to improve in it. That doesn't have anything to relate to people, to getting at somebody's identity in any form.
Right.
Especially when that person may have spent a large chunk of their actual like in-person life with like interactions with their family, their friends, their job, or things of that nature, trying to find out who their identity was, which can be hard for a lot of people, or B, crafting it in a way that makes them comfortable. And to attack and try and tear that down is bad no matter what scene you're in.
Right.
And it's a shame that it exists in the FGC at all. Because, like you said, yeah, being a bigot does not make you hard in any way.
Yeah,
In fact,
not at all.
It makes you mushy like moldy apple jelly.
Yeah, like you
Talking like that.
If anything, you're like an even bigger coward.
Exactly.
It's like really? It's like you're so hurt about this video game that we can't just talk about video games no more.
Right. And there are a lot of people who have made comments similar to what Sarah Blast has made in the past. Like, an example being like James Chen has said, definitely there are records of him saying it in the past.
Justin Wong,
yeah, Justin Wong. People who are really old, like FGC scenes and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like what Sarah Blast said, like he did grow up in like a New York downtown kind of like New York environment on that. But what you don't do is double back like he did recently.
No, Sarah should not have started nor doubled down. Because I grew up around black people is the dumbest excuse ever.
It's the worst. It's
the worst.
It's like, as a person who I grew up in Dayton, Ohio, and I spent a lot of time, even though I grew up in like suburb Dayton. I had many, many friends, and I spent a lot of time in the inner city of Dayton. Not once did I feel tempted or in any way to think that I was like given the right or the quote unquote pass to say anything racist or anything of that nature. It's not right, and it shouldn't be right by anybody's standard.
No.
So, if you're gonna take one thing away from this podcast episode today, just don't be a bigot. Don't be
just don't do it.
Just don't be an idiot.
Bigotry is ugly, people.
Bigotry and toxicity is bad.
It's kind of ugly.
It doesn't look good. It doesn't make sense.
You're just unattractive now.
Man, people who are unattractive on the inside, much worse.
But yeah, no. Sarah basically doubled down on the I grew up around black people by adding on the issue here isn't me. It's black culture. It's black people as a unit, as a collective, as a group. They're the issue.
It's probably the worst scapegoat he could try and use.
That was something. That was something.
That was terrible.
Mm-hmm. And I want to throw it down now. Mm-hmm. It's not also okay to do these things in retaliation, right? Because I saw it on both ends of people being racist to LGT in retaliation for him being transphobic, and I also saw people being transphobic to Sarah in retaliation for being racist, which is just
you're using bigotry to fight bigotry, which is it's the worst. That's the worst double negative you can do.
Yeah, it's not the solution.
Mm-hmm. It's not right.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you, in your opinion, if you were like a TO at an event, obviously you and I, if we were at these events and were running our stuff, which I've been running Fighters Guild for like 4 years now, and I haven't had a bigotry problem.
Right.
Which has been good and lucky. And thankfully, even if I saw one, their ass would be kicked out of there. Or I'd just let you and Trev and Kevin lead him to a back alley.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, if the situation was like this, like, a person came up to you and said that they were being bigoted against, but they didn't want the person to get punished.
But they didn't want the person to get punished.
Yes. Like, if they came up and they're like, I don't want to make a big deal out of it, I just figured I should tell you.
Okay. If they explicitly do not want me to punish the person, then there will still be a conversation had.
Oh, yeah.
But if after conversation is had, I'm, sorry to that person, but I'm ignoring your wishes and they're out of here.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Opinion, man.
That's how I feel.
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm 100% with you on that one. I would definitely, well, first of all, anytime I see like a discomforting thing, you talk about it with each party involved so that conflict can get resolved.
Right.
And if the one party is unremorseful, then, and doesn't promote the environment that you want, which the environment you want should be A, inclusive, B, comforting for the people who are coming in, and C, intriguing enough for newcomers to come in and not feel immediately pressured to like leave.
Right.
And that extends to a lot of different factors.
Mm-hmm.
But you take both parties, you talk to both of them, and one party is not remorseful and doesn't promote your atmosphere, well, bye-bye. It's as easy as that. and I feel bad for the people who have a really tough time morally about those sort of decisions.
Mm-hmm.
There just comes a point where you have to throw the morals and empathy for the person being bigoted out the window.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You can only care about somebody's personality and wanting them to change so much before you can just have to be like, all right, they got to fix this on their own.
Yeah. Like, from like what we said earlier, we're playing video games.
Yeah.
You being able to come into this space and play video games is not a right.
Exactly.
Right. Unless you are paying for everything, you're paying the venue fees, you're organizing everything. Nobody has a right to show up and play video games.
Mm-hmm. It's not like some privilege that you have. It's like, I get to play video games here because I'm this way.
Yeah. Or like let's take it a step further. You don't, or because like obviously, neither of these two are like top players that we're talking about in this situation. But like, for example, like to expand it out even just past bigotry and into misogyny and violence, right? You don't deserve to play just because you're good. Yeah. Infiltration, right? You don't deserve to play just because you're good.
Can we get infiltration banned already? Come on, man.
It's really ridiculous, and it's because he was technically found innocent. But if you look at the case, and like people say, well, his wife was hitting him as well, and it's like,
well,
so they're
too.
I'm gonna say so they're beating each other. Okay, yeah, he was still beating his wife. Can we?
Please. Yeah. What we just said kind of sums up that whole story.
Yeah.
And he was still allowed at EVO 2019.
Yes.
And he won Sam's show,
and it was very much framed as a triumphant return.
And we all agree that he didn't win Sam's show.
Yeah, he didn't win Sam's show.
Didn't win Sam's show. Never heard of infiltration in my life.
I don't even know about him.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing. Like, a lot of top players get excused.
And I feel like with infiltration, it's another thing where it's like you feel bad for the personality, because before that happened and that came out, people really liked infiltration, like, because there's this stereotype from the overseas players, they're usually more quiet and respectful, and infiltration was not that. He was a showman.
Yeah,
he goofed around when he won Evo, and they asked how he did it, and he just said download complete. People liked infiltration.
Yeah, he had a lot of good moments in the past.
And I feel like that's a big piece of why people are reluctant to get rid of him, because like even beyond him being good, before this happened, people liked infiltration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and for better or for worse, he's part of like big fighting game history moments, like when he picked God, I'm forgetting the name. Hakan, yeah, when he picked Hakan versus PR Rog.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's stuff like that really gets to you. It's like you see these top players that some people who grew up and played fighting games for these players, and then they figure out that they're like bigoted and crap like that.
Yeah.
Like imagine all of the transgender FGC members who looked up to Sarah Blast for her decisions, and now have to reconcile the fact that it's like, man, I probably shouldn't look up to this figure anymore because of what they are. It's kind of like a don't meet your heroes kind of mentality.
Yeah, don't meet your heroes. Yeah, don't do it.
Don't meet me.
if Matt's your hero, you have a lot larger issues in life.
I agree. Anyway, Trev's my hero.
Yeah, well, that's fine. That's fine.
I'm kidding. Zeke's my real hero.
Well, that's even finer.
What a time.
What a time.
Yeah. FGC's an interesting beast.
Yeah.
I saw a post on Twitter today that people were like, man, FGC is like, it's an ideal that people use like for marketing. I was like, it sort of is sometimes. Like if you're talking about like big esports stuff, yeah. But
it's a convenient descriptor.
Yeah, it is a convenient descriptor, but it's also something that you want to strive for, like everyone being inclusive. You're always purging the bad people.
Right.
Yeah. It's like, you want to reach for the most perfect outcome, but you're never going to, you're never going to get it because perfection is impossible.
Right, exactly. You're always going to have a Noel Brown or two running around grabbing ass on stream.
Yeah.
Noel Brown single-handedly killed thuggery. I think about that sometimes because it was literally like a month after that happened that Capcom put out the No More Thuggery allowed at CPT events. Put out that statement. He single-handedly killed it.
Oh man, you know what's one of my favorite like thuggery moments? K-Brad versus Wolfcrone. SF.
That one's good. That one's good.
That's one of my favorites. I just love the getting in the face.
Yeah, I really like the look at me. Look at me. When he took off the head crones. Oh my goodness. Set him down for him nice and safe.
Right. That's funny. Also, like Punk with the hats or something.
Punk with the hats. That was a good one. That was a good one.
We'll have a stream where we just sit down and talk about our favorite FGC like moments.
Yeah, we'll get out of this, but one of my favorites is at the Canada Cup after party in like 20 like I want to say 15 or something.
Right.
Lapchi got really drunk and challenged Mike Ross to a 1-round $300 Blanca mirror.
Oh my god.
Mike Ross won, and then Lapchi just left. He left from the party he was running.
That's really funny. I hadn't heard that story.
Yeah.
It's good to hear that Mike Ross is doing all right.
Oh yeah, no, Mike Ross is doing good. He was playing. Shocker, SF5. He's been going to
really?
Yeah, but before quarantine hit, he was at Wednesday night fights, and I mean he was there mainly for other stuff, but he was playing SF5.
Nice. I watch him occasionally because he plays Vasaraga and Grand Blue. I like that. Plays my character.
Mike Ross's streams are good. Yeah. I'm really happy that he actually uses his mic now.
Yeah.
Because when he first came back after he decided he was done with all of this, when he first came back, he would just not announce he was streaming, and then he would just be doing it, and no mic, and there would just be music playing, which was kind of relaxing, but nah, I needed to hear Mike Ross.
Right. Good stuff to hear in the background, but maybe,
Yeah.
No, it's crazy stuff.
Yeah. Don't be bigots, people.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the moral here.
It's the one takeaway from this podcast, which should have been a takeaway in your mind already, but if this is just making you realize, then, well...
If you are learning this lesson here, then you're probably in Fighters Guild, and I will find you.
Man, I'll let Kennedy loose. He has permission.
Sweet.
Kennedy knows that he's had permission to be my bigot enforcer.
Sweet.
Destroy all bigots. Because I'm technically not allowed to beat people, but, you know, Kennedy's not an officer, so...
Yeah.
Just saying, if he finds you on the street after club, that's different. All I can do is ask them to leave.
Good.
Man,
good.
I remember the last time I got into a scrap about that. That was funny. It wasn't funny in the long run.
Yeah.
But you know, I made $70 that day because it was at a landscaping job. I took my wadded up bills and left.
Wadded up bills and skedaddled.
No. I gotta say this. We got time for a quick story.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
This is even not FGC related, so you know, we'll just make it a good story time. Anyway, when I was working last summer, I decided to work a landscaping job because I felt like it, and I had an interview with a private company that worked out of a barn of a guy in like the more rural part of Ohio.
Oh, yeah, that's what you want.
Yeah, it was like a 20-minute drive away from my house, so it wasn't that bad.
Mm-hmm.
But I went back, and I went past... First of all, this is the kind of guy who owns, like, bloodhounds and chickens, so I'm like, I'm moving back, and I'm not judging him, obviously. But I know. So I go back to his barn in the back, and I work for 9 hours, and it was pretty bad because I was, like, one of 3 people there. So I had to do, like, everything. And so I'm doing the last part of the shift where I'm moving like garbage to be burned because, you know, I know where I'm at. Yeah. But this guy in front of me, he finds a fishing pole, like an old fishing pole in the stack. And he says, "Look, word that I can't say," and then beat her. And I was like, fuck. He was like, "Excuse me, man?"
I'm baffled. I'm puzzled. With the fishing pole? Oh, racists are creative. That's creative. Hold on, let me. Racists are creative, bro. With the fishing pole?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Anyway, for those of you who don't know who listening in, my best friend Graham is a African American man and who I adore dearly, and so I immediately went off. And long story short, I didn't win, but but at the end of the day, did that matter? I got paid $70 for working that day. Probably the most I had gotten paid at a job. So I gave up a lot of money. I told the employer, sorry, I can't work here anymore, and I went on my way. Then I worked for the city for 3 months.
Yeah. Working for the city is better than that.
Oh, yeah. The city's structured. I specifically went to the city because I'm like, I'm going to get paid less, but at least I won't have to hear that.
Yeah.
Or at least if I do hear that, I can get more upper person involved instead of me having to beat someone's ass.
Yeah.
Though I guess
why not both?
I guess that's in quotations. I mean, the guy that I fought was like 31, so needless to say, I didn't win.
Aim for his knees, bro.
Right? It's the thought that counts.
Yeah.
That's okay though. Yeah, wild times.
Wild times.
FGC, real life. There are people like that everywhere. That's another takeaway to have. There's always going to be people like that.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I kind of learned from that. Because from that experience, before that, I was like, anybody that I see who do this, I'm going to make sure that I purge the area that I'm in to make sure that they aren't that. Which you should still strive for. But then it kind of made me realize at the same time, like, those people,
you never really can.
Yeah, you never really can. There's always going to be somebody like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're in Oxford, Ohio. I'm sure within 10 miles, there's at least 5.
Yeah. When I went to, I want to say my first tour of Miami, somebody stood up and asked about if black students were safe. Because at the time, there was a rumored KKK presence near Oxford.
I mean, the religious groups that come in might as well be.
Oh, yeah. The quad gods.
Right? You see, there was one time where there was a Black Lives Matter protest inside of Armstrong, and there was a really big anti-Crawford thing. I know you were...
Oh, yeah. That was...
Right?
Woo!
That was wild time. I remember I wanted to get Sundial Pizza that day.
Miami is a white supremacist institution hung right over the arch on the biggest touring day of the year.
I will say that was an impeccable organization.
Oh, yeah. A genius move.
Genius. That was good. I still get glares whenever I walk past the diversity office. But, what are you going to do?
It is what it is.
They can listen to this podcast. They'll know I'm chill.
Oh, yeah. This is content. This is good.
This is good content. This is good. This is a good podcast. We got about 8 minutes left on the time.
Okay. So with these last 8 minutes, I just want to say, Strive.
Yeah, let's talk about Strive a little bit.
Strive's okay.
Strive is all right. It's a different beast, right?
It's a different beast.
I unfortunately did not get the chance to play the beta. I scrambled too much to try and get a PS4, and I got it a Tuesday after that weekend.
Yeah.
But from what I saw, things that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
I was interested in playing Potts before, but then I was like, he's real mad simple right now. And
Well, Potemkin is always simple. Potemkin's never been complicated.
Yeah, he's not. But I was super interested in how Faust was playing. And I was also interested in Axel.
Okay.
And I still am, because I played Axel in Rev 2 briefly. But based on a clip from Trev's stream, didn't go as well as I would have thought.
But I played every character in the beta, so I have a pretty good idea of what they're going for with everybody. I guess big blanket takeaways are bring back Gatlings. I sent you that chart of what combos into what now, and what combos into what now, and it's just not intuitive, and it just doesn't feel good.
Not intuitive is, I think, the biggest detriment, because they're trying to make this game almost like a beginner-friendly thing, but beginners are going to get stomped.
Yeah, no, beginners are going to get stomped because you die in 2 to 3 combos, and at best 2 to 3. Mm-hmm. There are already TODs. The TODs take no skill to do or implement. There's unblockables, which I'm sure is not intentional.
Yeah, like Fafnir into RC.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I can see potential.
Yeah, no, definitely.
There is potential in this game.
I went into it as negative as any. For those who might be listening for the first time, I was on another episode talking about it, but Guilty Gear is like one of, if not my main game. Mm-hmm. I love Guilty Gear.
Yeah, Guilty Gear is, from what I have been taught by Kennedy, a good game.
So I went into it as skeptical and as negative as anybody could, like waiting to like touch it and like be repulsed. But no, it was fine. Like it really just felt perfectly fine. But I wanted it to feel great, and I feel like they can still tweak it to feel great. Mm-hmm. A couple, like another general thing that I would say I like what they did, and I said this in the previous one we were talking about. I was on here talking about fighting game simplification. What they're doing to Roman cancels is really smart.
Yeah, I agree.
So for those who don't know, in Exerd there were 3 Roman cancels, those being red, yellow, and purple, and they were depending on the timing within your animation that you canceled the move. And they essentially got rid of those. And there's actually more Roman cancels in this game than there were, but they do more. They've centralized more mechanics around it. Like before, there was something called dead angle, and that was pretty much an alpha counter or a V reversal from Street Fighter, if you guys know what that is.
Yeah.
That's been replaced with just Roman canceling while blocking. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, oh, same thing, same 3 buttons, but now another mechanic is wrapped into it. Something else I like is red Roman cancels. They've changed how Roman cancels work. Because before, the way you could combo off of a Roman cancel was entirely based off of the actual properties of the move you canceled, right? If a move you canceled launches, they would be in the air and you'd have time to air combo. Now, they instead of doing that, they made it more straightforward in that there's the red Roman cancel that has a hitbox on it and will launch them. And that's how you do...
Yeah, launches them in a very universal, specific way.
In a universal way. So that's how you do that.
Right.
Right. If you want to launch somebody and you want to get a juggle combo, you red Roman cancel.
I think one of my favorite things that I've seen in the game that you can red Roman cancel is Potemkin Buster into red Roman into his anti-air grab.
And the heat knuckle, yeah.
That looks pretty clean, I'm not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm. But then there's also the dash Roman cancel, which is there's a dash macro. I find it easier to actually input dash personally, I found, but there's a dash macro there if you want it.
Right.
But
which exists in like other games like Marvel, but it's cool to know that it exists here too.
Yeah, it's do the move, dash, and then Roman cancel, and you'll get the same freeze Roman cancel gives you, but your character will move forward a little bit in the freeze, and that's how you get your grounded combo extensions. Yeah. And then another thing that I'm really happy about is they brought back force Roman cancels from Accent Core.
FRCs, for those of you who like acronyms.
Yes, FRCs. And what a FRC essentially is you do a move and you Roman cancel it, but input another move before the Roman cancel flash comes out. So a little bit stricter timing, but by doing that, you don't get an actual combo extension, but you essentially get to cancel a special move directly into another special move.
Yeah. It's for those of you who have played King of Fighters 13, the drive cancel system is extremely similar. It's like a drive cancel, except like you gotta. There's a little bit of timing behind it. Yeah, it's a trick, and it's nice to know that this game has tricks.
Yeah,
it's nice to know that the game isn't simplified to the point of uncreativity.
Yeah.
Which, being a Guilty Gear game, I doubt that would have ever happened.
Right.
That's part of the core philosophy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Yeah, and there's creativity still there. Another weird thing that this new combo system has introduced that Guilty Gear has had in spurts but never had on this massive scale where a lot of characters have it are actual links instead of... So the Gatling system is still there. It's just the moves that Gatling into one another. And for those who don't know, Gatling is essentially like an ABC series, right?
Yeah,
like,
think about light, medium, heavy.
It's something that just works, and it works on for every character. And then you get your specific combos by breaking that down and using pieces of it and this and that.
Right. So for an example from Xrd 2 would be, I think kick slash heavy slash is a universal Gatling.
Yeah, and it works. Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. The overall universal Gatling was light punch, kick, slash, heavy slash, dust. And you can break apart any part of that.
Yeah. I'm not going to pull up the chart right now and explain it, but just it's now just a lot more specific than that.
I feel like I'll let you finish.
It's a lot more specific than that, and there's a lot less places you can enter in. But the point that's kind of interesting that exists now on a larger scale, like I said, it existed before, but never on this scale where this many characters had it, are not Gatlings, right? But the existence of actual links, a la a Street Fighter combo system.
Right, like medium.
Right. Repeat. So a good example is your boy Axel. Mm-hmm. He can get... I think
it's close slash 3 times.
Yeah, it's close slash. You can link into itself.
That's cool.
Which is neat.
Yeah, and then you can start thinking creatively. It's like, man, maybe I can special cancel the last slash into something.
Yeah,
but that's fighting game 101.
Right.
And it's cool to know that the game will evolve, hopefully, especially past things like camera angles and UI and all the obvious discourse that's been going on.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what that Discord is, check Twitter. There's plenty of it.
Oh, yeah. It's bad.
Or watch the breakdown on YouTube. I know Anime Illuminati has a lot to say.
Yeah. I love Anime Illuminati right now because Giuna and Majin Obama are complete opposite sides of the spectrum on this game. They just respect each other's opinions enough that they both upload. So it's like, with it in the same day, you can see this about Strive is awful from Majin Obama, and then from Giuna, you'll get another post that's where it's a video like, oh, this looks great. It's wonderful. On the same channel, it's great.
That's good. Thankfully, I know a lot of people in Fighters Guild are pretty new to Guilty Gear, so this game will actually be like their entry point.
Yeah, and I will be around to be helpful, and I really
hope they announce some more characters and give more time to the samurai twin swordsman that they revealed at launch. Launch trailer.
Yeah. I feel like what's in, and this is just in my head, I feel like we're getting the entire Guilty Gear 1 roster minus people who are dead.
Right.
Because
Zato's there, man.
Yeah, we're getting the entire, because that's what it's been so far. We've had Guilty Gear 1 characters, and I feel like we're going to get Guilty Gear 1 characters until, minus the ones who are dead, though. If we're bringing back people who are dead, please. Bring back Cliff Anderson. I need the OTG god back. I need the OTG god back. But
who do you think is going to be the next character announced? Who's the last Guilty Gear 1 character who hasn't been in yet?
Biken.
Do you think that she will get announced?
For the D-Gens?
For the D-Gens.
If they are trying to get casuals into this game, there's a reason why, like, in the community, Exerd Biken player is a meme. Because it's the meme of people like Maximilian Dude who saw Biken, were like, yeah, started playing Guilty Gear and then got filtered super hard by somebody better than them and then stopped immediately.
Why can't people get inspired like that from Johnny?
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, they should look at Faust and be like, man, that's peak performance.
But yeah, like, other than that, if we're talking other than like Biken, not at this point, I'm not saying necessarily who's next, but like the people who I think have the best chance based off of how based on how liked they are and how much people have wanted them back. Would not be surprised with Testament. People have been wanting Testament back for a very long time.
All right.
Testament is a very metal individual with a scythe whose whole deal was setting up webs. You kind of like the
in Undernight.
Yeah, I'm about to say kind of like Byakuya from Undernight. Yeah, that was Testament's whole deal, was set up webs. You get stuck, he could combo it out of it. There was an infinite or two because in like Axe and Core, right, because older games are jank, but
older games, the fun stuff.
Older games are jank, but yeah.
I'm gonna actually rapid fire you a few characters and give me like a yes, no, or maybe on this.
If I want them in, or if I think they're coming.
Think they're coming, and then you can put your one piece in on whether you want them or not.
Got it. Give it to me.
Bedman.
No.
Slayer.
Yes.
Leo.
And absolutely want him. Leo, no. And nobody wants Leo back.
Dizzy.
Maybe not at launch, but eventually. I mean, it's an
Solid
Arxis game.
Maybe, yeah.
This game, though, actually, I was going to say this game will have versions, but I guess their past few releases have not been doing that, so maybe we won't have versions anymore.
Maybe not. I mean, Grand Blue will probably have a version, but that's because it's like based on a gacha.
Yeah. And they'll buy it.
Oh, and they'll buy it. They've already announced like 6 Season 2 DLC, but that's for another time.
I saw that. They work so fast.
They do.
Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, freaking... Man, I lost my train of thought on that. God. Well, Johnny. Let's go with that one.
I think Johnny will come back.
Johnny's...
Maybe not launch roster, but I think Johnny's coming back.
Raven.
I don't think so.
I know people who would like Raven.
I do as well.
Know people. You know who you are.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, obviously, I'm gonna say right now, answer's a no.
Answer's a no, and before you even ask, Venom's not coming back because Daisuke cares about lore too much.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
And Venom gave up fighting to make baked goods.
That is fair. Well, anyway, that's pretty much all that I got right now. And that's all the time that we have, jeez.
Cool.
Well, anyway, guys, thanks for listening to this episode of Wake Up Options. As I should have said at the beginning, all the opinions here are not representative of the organization or university as a whole. But thank you for listening in, and remember our big takeaway. Don't be a bigot.
And play Guilty Gear.
And play Guilty Gear. You'll hear me say it here. You can reference it.
Yeah.
That's only because I'm excited about Strive.
Yeah, you know what?
No,
I'll take the wins I can
I'm not
get.
gonna lie, Rev 2 made me like Guilty Gear.
I'll take the wins I can take. It's good enough.
Fair enough. All right, I've been Matt. This has been Kennedy. Thank you so much. And we'll see you guys next time.